Hello, and welcome to Fallawsophy. I'm your host, Jennifer Fallaw-Doering, and my philosophy is to believe in infinite possibilities. My topic today is infiltration from within. When we say that, and when we've heard that, we think of bad actors in governments and in organizations and all over the place. People who are in control and call the shots. This is something that is not new in our governments and in our institutions. Over time and time again over history, governments have gone bad, and people have had to rise up and have their say. The infiltration from within that I'm talking about is internal. This is evil, fear, control over you or God through his people. And there are those working very hard right now to expose and inform about the physical cages that evil actors have created to enslave God through his people. My part in this great awakening is not to expose that, but to expose the infiltration that's going on within each and every one of you. And it's very sly. It's very simple. It's something that everybody deals with, and we just call it life. We call it emotions. We call it normal. But the fact of the matter is that this dimension that we live in is part of the heaven world. The astral dimension is the in-between. We have physical bodies on every true dimension. We are born into this one. This one was created so that we could be born in, we can experience having children, we can experience a different way, pain and things like that. Eating, surviving. But it was never supposed to be this hard. Evil was not supposed to be here. The struggles we were supposed to have were, finding food and shelter and getting along. We were given free will. Biggest gift of all, to create, to think, to make decisions. And evil has to find the in-between. It snuck in. It found its way through to you and to have control over you through your thoughts. And people say, well, there's bad people and they make the rules and we're so limited and this and that and all this. Those are people. And incarnated entities who are controlled through their thoughts. We do this in everyday life. We choose to react one way or another. And a lot of us will choose to dwell so much in negative thought, fear, jealousy, hate, sadness, that it takes control of our whole life, and we'll wear these badges. Oh, I have anxiety. I have depression. And it's something that you carry your whole life, assuming that, even if things get better, it will always come back. No, yeah. We're not talking about somebody with legitimate chemical imbalances or problems like that. Okay. We're talking about the everyday thoughts that go through our heads that we choose to keep, and the influence that goes on in the in-between. Not so much I'm not talking about the astral plane, but I'm talking about subliminal messages, programming, what's cool, what's not cool, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's beautiful, what's not, according to society. We have a lot of power to choose how we react, what we keep, and what we don't keep, and where our focus can be or should be, and how to create. So this is kind of my part, my little part, what my purpose is in the whole Great Awakening scheme of things. There's a lot of people out there doing and each and every part, however big or small, is valuable. Mine is the inner triumph. And that's what we're talking about today. The huddled masses are yearning to be free. Well, they have to release themselves. And everybody wants to know why it's taking so long, and why don't we just run in and arrest everybody who's been bad, or who is misinforming, or who's misbehaving. And because they could, but it'll just happen again. Because, you see, evil cannot create without a host. It's like a parasite. They have to use people to do their bidding. So the influence is there. Whether it's a little whisper, they talk about the devil on your shoulder. You see that in cartoons and all kinds of stuff. Well, it's true. It's not sitting on your shoulder, but there's definitely influence all around. And, we choose to perpetuate that or not in our own minds. And this leads to happiness or not. They cannot create without a host. So they could go out and they could arrest all the bad guys and install other good guys and say, everything's okay now. Go back to your lives and be happy. But sooner or later, those good guys that went in, or whoever they replaced them with, they have thoughts and they make choices, and they may be infiltrated as well. So if people don't awaken to and see the signs of and start to consciously create or choose what to think about, what to feel, what to keep, and what to discard, if they don't learn about what's happening to them and where the evil is, and if it's not, like they say, if it's not kept in the shadows, if it's not exposed, then it'll just happen again. And we've seen that time and time again over the course of history. So this is a very important time now. Not only are we identifying the bad actors and the practices and the things that are going on behind the scenes now that we never even knew about, we're identifying how we didn't know about them. And I want to talk about everyday life, because that's something nobody ever talks about. Everybody goes to therapy and they sit there and they dwell on everything over and over again, and they try to find some reason why this has bothered them so, and how do I let go of this, and how do I let go of that? And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it all comes down to choice. Real change will come from the people. And you've heard that lately. We're all waiting for some big event, some big boom, some tell us all that we can go back to our normal lives and everything's going to be awesome. We're all going to be rich and there's not going to be any bad guys and there's not going to be any tyranny and there's not going to be any of that anymore. Well, we all have to take part in that. Some aren't ready because some think that, great, now I'm going to have to address everything I've done wrong and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm going to have, this is going to be hard. No, it's not. It's not hard at all. And I'll tell you why. So what's happening now is people are awakening. But the true awakening is not everything that's outside of yourself. That stuff, there's warriors out there doing that right now. That stuff will become more apparent to you when you get all the bad stuff out of your mind, because you'll start to see the world differently. So evil is allowed. Everybody always says, why is there evil in the world? Why is there this? Why is there that? How could God allow that to happen to us? Because through our greatest gift, free will, recognizing how evil is allowed to stay here and exist here through negative thoughts and programming is probably the most important part of this awakening process. Sometimes you got to start asking yourself some questions. Who owns your freedom? Oh, well, the governments and, the banks and, my family and my peers and my friends. And, I'm talking about your emotional freedom, because you can arrest all the bad guys and do all that and everything else. I could place somebody in a perfect environment, but until such time as they choose to be free, or they choose to be happy, or they choose to stop the endless cycle of negative thoughts and scenarios and the words of others that ring over and over in our heads, you're not free. Over the last, I'd say, year or so, in meditation, off and on, angels do this to me. God does this to me. Actually, God said it. Jesus said it. Michael and Gabriel said it. In conversation, talking about my personal life and things like that. And they said, you need to be free. I didn't understand that. I was like, why? I don't want to be free from my profession. I don't want to be free from my husband. I don't want to be free from my kids. I don't want to lose any of it. I love all of it. And so usually I was talking about stress level and how to handle and juggle everything and be good, still be a good mom and wife and, and everything all at once. And it wasn't so much the schedule. It's like, I understand it today. It took a while. And I don't even know if I fully understand it yet. Probably not. But what they meant was true freedom comes from within you. It's not just, if you could put somebody in a perfect environment and they could still be depressed. They could still be fearful. Well, what if this is not a perfect environment later on? Well, what if it's not? Who cares? We really start to we have to start resisting fear and resisting the thoughts. I started this a long, long time ago and didn't really realize what I was doing. It was basically just to get by, because I found out when my husband passed away. I say this a lot, but I'm trying to get sympathy, but it was a major turning point in my life. And I had to go on with 2 little girls. And I wanted to do that with chin up and in a positive direction. So, and I've always kind of had a low self-esteem. I've always been self-conscious about the way I look and my weight and everything else. Why? Because there were people in my life that said terrible things to me for one reason or another, probably jealousy or I don't know. But I kept them. And I would play them over and over and over again. Just when I started to feel good about myself, I'd play it again. And it became part of my reality. Well, I'm not as good as that girl because she's totally thin, or I'm not as good as this person because of this or that. Okay. So that person from childhood had power over me. And it wasn't really that person. It was the evil intent, the influence that made that person say whatever it was, whether it was a parent, whether it was a sibling, whether it was whatever it was. Why do we keep those? Why do we keep those moments and play them over and over and over again? Why? It's evil influence. Oh, I see that you're feeling really good about yourself today, and you think you look good in that dress or whatever, but hey, remember when so-and-so told you were a fat slob? It's like, let's play that over in our heads a million times. And then you see yourself in the mirror again and you're like, well, I guess I am. Be free from that. How do I do that? How do I do that? One step is realizing that every moment that has gone before right now is gone. You are on a continuing journey of experience. Yes, you have memories. You have free will, freedom of choice. Choose to keep the good ones and the knowledge. But there's absolutely no reason to revisit the bad anymore. There's no reason to play it over and over in your head. There's no reason to carry it. Evil wants you to do that. And it's interesting enough, when I talk to Jesus in meditation, or all the times that I have, he does not refer to it as evil. He never uses that word. He calls it fear. Fear itself. And there's many reasons that we fear. And that is the influence. And then, listen, example. Everything ever been fine, and then you watch a scary movie, which I don't watch scary movies anymore, but in the past I had, you're at home and everything's fine. Then you watch a scary movie and suddenly your house is haunted. Suddenly you're hearing things move and everything's going on and you feel terrible and you're scared and everything else. There's stuff running around spiritually all over the place. Okay. Being in a state of fear draws in more. It draws in these evil entities and energies and influence. Why do you think that? Have you taken a notice of anything? I have. I think I started taking notice of this probably back in like 2010, something like that. all the shows on TV, all the movies. Has anybody seen a comedy movie lately that isn't political or bad humor? I mean, they used to have comedy all the time. They removed comedy because that's a joyful experience. They want everything you watch to be tragic and depressing or just sick or scary. That's okay. Go and check Netflix and go and check the programming wherever you want to go. And if it's anything new, the energy of it is terribly negative. There's a reason for that. They do not want you to choose to be positive, because when you are positive, you are your true self and you are a creator. And you will, the longer you remain in that state, the more the lies become evident. So, who owns your freedom? You do. And can you imagine if each and every one of us in this world knew that, and we all just chose to resist the evil thoughts, resist the negative thoughts, resist and replace it with a positive. That's what I've done for years. And like I was saying earlier, I had to keep going. And so it was kind of funny. I taught the girls to do it. And then all of a sudden, because I'd wake up and I'd be in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, my hair, I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that, oh my God. And then I taught that they would do it too, because I think they saw me do it, and I said, we're not doing this anymore. Every time you think something bad about yourself, I want you to say, I'm beautiful and I'm thin, and and then you'd hear from across the house just randomly over time, I'm beautiful and I'm thin. And it was funny. And then we'd laugh. And that raised your vibration even more. And that made you feel better. And all of these, they know it. The dark side knows it. The dark side that's working within people. You see, this is the root. We have to pull the root one by one. Are we going to master it and never think negative thoughts again? No, but we'll get really good at pushing them out and say, oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go there. And when you decide to do something like this, you'll be presented with opportunities to practice. Doesn't mean everything bad's going to start happening. I'm just saying, you'll see the opportunities. All of a sudden, somebody will kind of piss you off, and you're just like, normally, what I used to do is I'd carry that around with me all day long. I would, well, if he says this, I'll say that, and go on and on and on and on, keep myself in a state of turmoil all day long because one person said one thing. So what am I doing? I'm giving that person the power. I'm giving them ownership of my happiness and my freedom. So being truly free is being in charge of your own happiness. You know how when you first fall in love, excuse me, nobody can knock you down, man. You are on top of the world. Oh, look at that. The refrigerator broke. Oh, well, it's just not a big deal. Nothing's a big deal. Well, yes, maybe some things, but you're happy. And you see all the good in that person. And I know you all just sat there and went to a negative thought, didn't you? You just went, well, it didn't turn out. And, it turned out I was fooled. We're not talking about that right now. We are talking about how the bliss that you felt when you were totally in love. I believe that bliss can be achieved in everyday life. I believe that's the bliss that people feel in heaven. And why is it so easy for them to have a clear mind and understanding of things when they're in heaven? Because the vibration is so high there that the evil cannot get there and cannot infiltrate them. There. This is common ground. It found its way in here. And this is why you have seen the wars and the evils and the corrupted and the over the whole span of history over and over again. Because that voice that sounds like it's yours can be influenced to think a certain way. We have learned that lately with the media. We've learned that, one of the first things that the last president did was bring that to our attention. I had no idea. I mean, I wanted to study journalism in college, and I went a different direction, but I should have. But somebody told me it was too hard. Influenced my entire life. Influence. We found out that the media, I used to think that, they can't put it on the news if it's not true. That's they have to check their sources and they have to do all this. Apparently not. And then you start to see the falsehoods in other things. It's one of the greatest things. My grandfather, wise man, he would come out with the great one-liners, make you think for the rest of your life, over and over again. He would just say, "Does that make sense to you?" And stare at you. And no, a lot of things don't make sense to me. A lot of things never did. And then there's stuff that appears to make sense, but it's a total scam. That's what's going on in your head. Things appear to make sense, and have validity and have reason, but it's a total scam. And it's all about who we choose to believe and who we choose to allow to have ownership of us. I mean, who owns your happiness? Is it your kids? Is it your parents? God forbid it's your boss, because that can change in a blink of an eye. Is it society? Is it your spouse? If that's true, which for most of us it is true, then we're on a roller coaster. Because one false word can take it from us. That's why you see these masters or these monks walking around in bliss in the middle of chaos. It's how they choose to perceive what's going on. But that little voice in your head, that little devil on your shoulder, is the root of all the evil and pain and suffering in the world. And the place that we grow. And now you may go about your business after the show and just start to see things. And just start to think. I want you to notice how the thoughts that come into your head. The badges that you wear. The shifts in your emotions. Is it really possible to be so blissful? Is it really, could it really be? Should we wait for someone to tell us that we're free? Or when we're free from that? Or from anything? I think that's what they're trying to tell us right now, because they already know, the powers that be, and that's why they call it a spiritual war. That's why they call it a war between good and evil. That's always been going on. It's the good in you fighting through the evil that wants to keep you down. And we do it every day. Some people are very good at not listening to it. And how do they do it to us? They use terms and words and like ego. Everybody's like, well, I have to get rid of my ego. Like, well, you can get rid of your identity? Is that what you're going to get rid of? Because basically your identity, you're going to get rid of all your self-esteem? I don't think that's productive. I think an overabundance. See, the problem that you encounter with ego is, I am great and you are not. That's where you get in trouble. The problem you encounter with believing that you are one with God is, I am God and you are not. That's where you get in trouble. It's not about that. And the loving yourself. And that's the hardest thing. People are like, well, other people don't love me, so why should I love myself? Well, maybe other people don't love you because you don't love yourself. I have gone out with some guys that are not very attractive. I will just tell you that today. Because they had such a personality that was just so positive and so funny and so confident. Look right at you like, you're going to love me. Am I? But they're just so much fun to be around. And it became very attractive. Confidence is attractive. So let's just imagine for a minute. What if tomorrow everybody woke up and they no longer listen to fear? That's what Jesus has been telling me. Like a year. Stop listening to fear. Okay, I thought I was, Even people that think you're doing really good and you don't really do that, it's still there. The insecurities, the negative thoughts, the doubts, the fears, the worries, the anxiety, all that stuff, that is fear. You have two things. You have love and you have fear. Jesus and the angels and God and everybody else, that's all love. All the good guys, love. You, love. That is why, the dark side is fear. And that's why Jesus refers to it as fear. He's trying to teach me something. But what if tomorrow everybody woke up and stopped listening to fear? How would your day be different? Try it. Let's try it tomorrow. Friday is no fear day. Let's establish that. Let's make a national weekly holidays. Friday is a no fear day. Now, that doesn't mean you go and jump off a cliff. That would be stupid. Okay? We don't do that. You're not going to do that. But just try when you wake up in the morning. What do we do immediately? We get so used to worrying about things. We get so centered in it. It becomes normal. Just like somebody who lives in a toxic environment, it becomes normal behavior. They don't understand how families can be nice to each other, or people don't drink, or they don't do drugs, or whatever. Or they're not abusive. They don't understand that because it's not normal to them. What if thinking positive was normal to us? And what we're doing is we are starving evil at its source. And its source is you and me and everybody else. I don't care if you're from another planet. anything incarnated in the universe, it's all housed in the body of God. This is their way to take over. So what if we all woke up that way? Like Christmas morning when you're a little kid, or like, we're going to Disneyland today kind of attitude. It'd be like, hot damn, I get to go to work today. What a privilege. Just change your perspective. Wake up and say, we're going to have a fabulous day. This is going to be a fabulous day. Just will it. Be it. Immediately, that voice of fear will come in and say, well, no, you're not, because you have to go to work. And you say, no, I get to go to work. I get to make dinner. I get to see my family today. You're on a diet. I can't have the burger. I got to have a salad. I get to eat that salad today. That's kind of good. Just like positive attitude. What we're doing is we're starving. We're starving that evil influence. And you're raising your vibration in the process. And if you keep doing it, your vibration will get so high that you're a bug zapper to evil. And can you imagine if everybody was a bug zapper to evil at once? Yes, there will still be those that don't embrace this. But what a difference would that make to the vibration of the planet and to the effort to help? See, everybody's running around thinking, I feel so helpless, I can't do anything. We've got all these heroes out there fighting and talking and getting the bad guys physically. It's not imagination. It's more real than you can imagine. Why do you think they're asking us to pray? Why do you think that suddenly this movement towards religion, not so much religion, but spirituality, with God, prayer, joining together? It's the combined process of creation. And if we all believe, that's why this constant forecast of doom, isn't there? Because they don't want you to believe that something good will happen, because you just might create it. And there it is. You just might create it together. Why do they want to separate it? They don't want the combined positive intent. They don't want the love. You cannot have a serious amount of love combined without creating something. Love creates, darkness destroys. And so from the very beginning, they knew this. From the very beginning. And we can't create on our own. We'll use your people. We'll use you to do our bidding. And that's what they do. And so if we were all, this is your power. If we were all to do it together, this is your power. This is what has to happen. And don't worry about everybody else. I have always fully believed that most of the stories that we got from Jesus, what we're allowed to hear, was to help us live a better life and to be more of who we truly are. The 10 Commandments and things like that. It's not who you are to kill. It's not who you are to steal. It's not who you are to hurt another. And that's why it feels wrong. Not because somebody says it's wrong. That's why pain and sadness and fear and all those other things feel so bad. And we identify them as feeling bad. Because it's like an allergy to you. It's foreign to you. And that's why we seek out happiness. We seek out love. There's two motivators in life, and it's either fear or love. And it's very important now. And it's not just me. There's who knows how many people, masses of people who are talking. And the way I explain it may resonate with you, and somebody else got a different way, and somebody else has got a different way. And I think that's beautiful. But it's all basic, same concept, and it's been trickling in for a long time. That they want to cast everything that is connecting with God or the angels or the spirits and things like that as negative, because they don't want you doing that. They don't want you doing what I teach. They don't want you to go sit in meditation and talk to God. Oh, no, they don't want that. Because then you're going to get direct answers and guidance and love, so much love. It just kind of all became clear. It's like, we've been skirting around the edges of the whole concept for a long time, but then it gets bashed down. Oh, you're crazy. Why would you think that you have all these limitations? Well, this has set me off the other day because the last show I did, I was told that we don't have physical limitations. I mean, that was just like, well, you're insane, Jennifer, because it's clear that there's an inside and outside to my body. This is a physical thing. I don't have wings, and I can't fly off a building, and I can't do this, and I can't do that, and that's not possible, or blah, 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 blah. But see, there's these words that we've been given over time that are limiting. Gabriel told me, because I was trying to help people with pain and things like that, I had all this tension. It was the last show. You can go back, listen to it. I forget. I don't know. I got notes somewhere. I have the worst memory. Anyway, and no, I don't smoke pot. But he told me that I was talking about the tension and pain in my body. Can you help me with this? I'm trying to meditate. He said, it's all in your head. And I argued with him. No, it's not in my head. I can feel it. To tell you the truth, when I go into meditation, I can feel him hold my hand. What's that about? And when I have a dream, I can feel something like I had, like if you get like stabbed in a dream or something, I can feel that. So who's to say that our pain is actually real or not real? Maybe it's all real. But I do know, and I'm starting to know, that so much of it is created by our mind. We've heard stories of civilizations ascending physically. I don't know about that, but the words that we've been giving, I was just going to complete that thought. The words that we've been giving, the can'ts, the possible and impossible, the good and bad, the pretty and smart, and all the negative ones, the stupid, and the up and down and right and left, and all these terms. We as human beings, we have to slap some kind of label on everything. Levels, classes, all that stuff. You see how mentally they corral us into these cages? Why would any human being be above another? I'm sure you have all kinds of answers for that. But the truth is they're not. They're not. What they're doing right now in society is trying to convince everybody that we're racist. When I remember when that started coming out, I think it was around the 2016 election. We were kind of like, people are still doing that? That was my reaction. Like, is that still going on? Really? I thought people were smarter than that. You know, we've been learning since the 60s and everything. You know, that's not okay anymore. So people are just like, oh. And then they're like, oh, no. And now they're just harping on it big time. Why? Oh, it's for votes and they want a certain. No, it's not. No, it's not. You have to think about the root. When you all join together to be loving to each other, to have empathy for others, to lift each other up. Let's just say for the United States, to all join together as one team. They don't want that because there is too much power in that. Not only in numbers physically, but for creation. Excuse me, the clearing of the voice. It's allergy time up here. It's terrible. Anyway, power of creation. That is why they're asking us all to pray again. They're trying to get people led back to the source. They're trying to get people led back to combining with true, divine, loving intent to create an outcome. The dark side is doing the exact same thing to create an outcome. So whose team are you on? And at what point in time do you take ownership of your freedom and your happiness? I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about therapy because I think it can be very beneficial and good for people. It just depends on the person, what they need. For me, I didn't go. People are like, well, maybe you should have. I didn't go after the husband passed away because I didn't want to assign a time to dwell in it. All I had to do, I already knew what I had to do. I had to accept it. It's happened. I had to move forward. I had to stop fighting the outcome of something that's already happened. So I had decided to move forward in a positive direction and just keep going with the kids. Just keep going. And so I didn't want to go. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to, if I had a problem, you sit down, you cry it out, you get up off the floor, and you keep going. So I don't know if I'm kind of a spiritual cheerleader or a drill sergeant, but I kind of have that attitude about things when people come to me, oh, I can't. Really? Yes, you can. You have to want it. You have to choose it. You have to deny what is pulling you back down into that hole. And I remember I used to be very passive. I used to take everybody's problems on my own shoulders. Until such day that this happened, and it was so big that I decided, all right, you're all on your own. It's just me and the girls. I have to deal with this situation emotionally, and I can't take all your problems on my shoulders and carry that around with me. So I kind of taught myself, yes, I love you. I will be here for counsel, but I can't carry your crap. Okay. And that's an internal thing that goes on because nobody knows you're carrying their crap. Nobody knows you're worrying about them all the time. Mothers will obsessively worry about the kids and that family and the kids. I understand. Okay, that's a hard one. I have not mastered this yet. I'm working on it, but you don't have to worry about your brother-in-law and your sister and your, cousins and everybody else and what's going on in their house and what they're doing and if they're okay and is everybody alive and blah, 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 and on and on and on. Keep yourself in a constant state of negative energy. constant misery. And then if you get so used to that if you should happen to have a few moments where you're not worrying, something says, oh my God, you better get back to it. Well, what if this happened? What if that happened? That's what leads to anxiety, an overabundance of fear. So I have like 5 pages of notes and I have not even looked at them. So let me, so why do we fight against fear and emotional trauma and perceived restrictions and then give those thoughts priority in our minds and imprison ourselves? Why do we do that? Because we're encouraged to do so. It's that little voice, that little devil on your shoulder. Should we not refuse to allow the words in themselves? No, should we not refuse? I can't read my handwriting. Refuse to allow the words and memories that harmed us to dictate who and what we are. That's a big one. Little by little, that's why it's so important to talk positively to your kids. And do not cast your baggage upon them. Think before you speak. Because one word, when you're angry, one insult, they'll remember for the rest of their life. And that's a big responsibility, I know, but it's true. Positive reinforcement with kids, because we will hang on to the negative memories more than the positive. Why would we do that? Why? Because we're influenced to do so. You see? We have to drown this out. We have to starve it. We have to say no. You are God as you right now in your body. So am I. So is everybody else. You have the power to say no. And that is powerful. So what I did a long time ago was instantly replace that negative thought with a positive one. Whether I thought it was true at the moment or not, just keep doing it. Because what it does is it diffuses that connection, that negative energy connection to that negative thought. So, if you're standing there in the mirror in the morning, you're like, oh, God, getting old. Nope. What is old? Compared to what? Actually, compared to, my grandfather, I'm pretty young. I am young. Go off with it. Keep it. That's how you do it. Or a lot of things people do, they'll stop them from achieving something. Is they'll say, well, that's too hard, or I'm not smart enough. How do you know if it's too hard before you try? You don't. It's trying to hold you down. It's trying to keep you miserable. Because here's the truth about actual entity attachments. They have to dwindle you down and keep you at a certain vibrational level so that they can remain attached to you. Otherwise, if vibration starts rising, boom. It's like a bug zapper. It cannot stay with you. So you have more power than you think. Freedom begins within us. And this concept needs to be adapted now if a person wants to awaken. Because even today, I was talking about this and then I was on a show earlier. And I noticed things that I didn't notice before. when we were talking about news stories and everything, I just boom, 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 boom. I saw it all. I saw it all. Things I would just glaze over before. And what we need to resist here, especially during the physical awakening process where we are learning about the actual things going on in the world, the outside of ourselves things, is to stay kind of separated from it emotionally. Everything has energy, and so we're going to see some dark things, okay, being exposed. We don't want to keep replaying them over and over in your mind. What I want you to access the information, to see the information, to take it in. But I want it to be kind of like a grocery list when you're standing in front of the fridge. Okay, we need milk. All right, human trafficking, I see that. Okay, cults, yeah, evil, reptilians, things like that. Take the information in, but do not let it fester within you. You're going to have to maintain a certain amount of emotional distance so that you don't suck in that negative energy, so that you don't let it live within you. We have to deny access. Many ways you deny access. I mean, if you really have to in your mind, you say, I reject all evil. If things get really bad, all you got to do is say the name of Jesus. I mean, I've been in dreams. I've been doing this stuff for so long. What I do is that, like now, for a while, I do it in my dreams as well. Like if something happens in my dreams, something attacks me. Oh, yeah? Well, I got this sword here and I'm going to blast that, you know. I'm battling things. But I have said the name of Jesus in my dreams when bad guys were approaching me. Weirdest one was like Walt Disney. Didn't really know much about that. That sparked some investigation. He looks at me. I was there. I'll just tell you the dream because it's cool. Okay, so I'm in this dream and I'm with the girls. I think we're at Disneyland. I don't know where the hell we were. We were in this office and there's a high counter. I was going to purchase something. And all of a sudden, this man walks over and I could see him out of the peripheral. And I knew it was Walt Disney. Random. I was thinking, oh, we must be at Disneyland. I'm like, is he dead? You know, like the girls are standing over here. And I look up. And I saw his eyes and I looked down a little bit because I understood at that moment that that was a bad guy. And you do not engage with the bad guy. You can battle it, but you don't let it into your head. And this is the whole concept here. In real time, I was just, and he said something to me. He was trying to get me to look into his eyes. And I wouldn't look into his eyes, but I could see him enough that he yelled at me. He's like, it's because I did everything I did because of the people like you who are here right now. And I'm like, well, it's time to go, you know? And it was so evil. It was so evil. And so I turn around, I'm like, where's the children? You know, they're grown, you know, almost grown. So I turn around, I'm like, well, it's time to go, girls. And these other things were like, these other people were walking in, approaching us. And I had them there. It was almost like, and I just started yelling the name Jesus, and we were out. Out. It seemed like in the movies, when you watch a movie where it's like well, everybody's going to die now. It was like that. But as soon as I said that name, out. Very powerful. No is very powerful. So if you have negative thoughts, just say no in your head. No. You have no power over me. Make it fun. But that's what really needs to happen right now. That's what it is. That is the real infiltration from within. It's not new. It's just we are seeing yet again another escalation of that. infiltration from within. Over history and over time, we have seen it time and time again. Great wars and uprisings and things like that. Evil will escalate to a level. There needs to be more good than evil here, so that we can continue. It will escalate to a level that's getting too close to taking over, and then the people rise up and they take it back. And it's not about people just saying, "Oh, well, I don't like this. I don't like what's going on right now. Let's do something." It is definitely a spiritual calling. So people get really frustrated and they get really tired and they say this is taking too long, and they start doubting those who are working for the effort, and they start saying, well, what if they're really bad guys, and what if it really, nothing's happening, and what if all is lost? I have more faith in God than that. Who would want you to believe that? Who are you letting in? Is it logic? No, it's not. Because I'm pretty sure if you dug hard enough, you'd see that things are still going on. Sometimes faith is not easy. And I think that little devil on your shoulder might just be the one telling you that all is lost. Now let's talk about emotions. Limitations. And the badges that we wear. Because people work their whole lives try to get over that. Try to get past that. Like there's some kind of trick. And what I found is that the best help is usually just the most simple. It's the most simple. We won't let ourselves let go. Quitting anything. You won't let yourself stop. You don't want to. And sometimes we'll hold on to reasons why we have limitations, because we don't want to do something else. Like we don't want to progress, or we don't want to, we'll choose people that in relationships that we know will eventually fail because our heart really isn't in it 100%. We'll choose shallow relationships because we don't believe that we are truly worthy of being loved, or that someone could stay. Why is that? It's because of society's standards. It's because of things that people have said to us over the years. It's programming. It's all programming. And we have to stop replaying the worst of this programming if we want to be happy. We have to be it. We have to stop today, right now, and say, from this moment on, is absolutely new. There is absolutely nothing you can do or say or change about what has gone before. That's logic. We keep the knowledge. Keep a little caution. That's not really fear. A little caution's not fear. It's like, don't jump out of the car when it's moving. Things like that. But as far as these people who said terrible things to us in school, or in our families, or at a job, or not making the team, or somebody a relationship. If you really want to analyze the situation, you go back and you look at the motives. It's usually jealousy or fear that causes somebody to say something negative about somebody else. But there's no reason to keep that. There's no reason to keep the worry, the stress, the labels, the lies, the thoughts of lacking, the badges, the social classes. There are people that will stay their entire life in a certain financial situation because their parents told them over and over again, well, don't get too big for your britches. They didn't want them to do any better than they did. Why? Because then that person would have to think about, well, why did I only do this? Why have I been in this trailer my entire life? And if you're completely happy with being a trailer your entire life, that's fine. But don't sit around and complain to everybody else that you're so disadvantaged if you never wanted to take the steps to do anything more. People do that. I've never understood that. It's like, okay, we want to make more money. We got to do more. We got to change our situation. We got to find a better job. We got to learn something. We got to do this. Action. There's nobody telling you can't learn something. It's that we don't want to take the steps because that negative voice comes in and says, no, you can't do it. No, you're not smart enough. Don't be too big for your britches. This is fine. You don't need anything more than that. What do you think you are? You think you're better than me? Just pull the energy right out of those voices because we don't need them anymore. They are limiting. That is the dark side. Even if it was your mother who loves you very much, if it was your father who would never do anything to harm you, they're speaking through them to you. They're speaking to them. Oh, God, it's just everywhere. I'm just trying to deal with it today. Fear is a liar and the basis of all pain. Like I said, Gabriel was telling me that most of pain, physical pain, is in your head. That you can actually pull the energy out of that thing that hurts and put it somewhere else, and the pain will lessen and lessen because the energy that we're sending to the pain receptors has been greatly diminished. I did it after he told me, like right away. It was totally easy to do. And my husband did it. And he was like, I totally feel that. I'm like, I totally feel that too. So we really need to get back to taking control of our own lives and our own bodies and our own freedom and our own happiness, because it is all a choice and it is all within you. Even grieving a loss, you will get there. Doesn't mean, oh, well, you're done with that now. It just means that we keep moving forward. We stop listening to well, you have to stay miserable or they'll think you'll be in heaven thinking that you don't love them anymore. Or we have to keep mourning the loss of this partner, or boyfriend or girlfriend or friend or whatever, and idolizing them when they walked away and left us. They did terrible things to us. Why would we do that? Why would we want them back? That's the fear of failure. That's the fear that nobody else will love you. They're the only ones that are ever going to love you. That is never true. It is never true. So while we're taking a look at the outside world, outside of our bodies, the things that are going on with others, and judging that, and seeing the lies, and the deception and the program and everything else, we need to really take an active part inside to fully be on the ascension and awakening path. You can't just run around and say, oh, you're bad, you're evil, this, that. Oh, I'm awakened, I'm essential, I saw it. And then you're sitting over there jealous of others and running these scenarios in your head and negative, and anytime somebody says something positive, you got something negative to say about it. It's like, well, you got a little work to do. And we all have a little work to do. But the goal here is to be happy and free. And nobody can do it for you. There's some great warriors out there working for all of us right now. We should all be very thankful. But they can't do it all for you. And that's why in this phase, everyone is frustrated. Because we all have to wake up and act. Or just serve evil to death. I am willing to bet if you take a look at a lot of the different religions and things like, well, yeah, there's a lot of fear in religion, but that's people. Okay, we know who did that. The basic concepts of religion and everything else, all at its core, is teaching you how to live better, teaching you how to be free. And I think that society, let's talk about society, tells us what is beautiful, what is cool, what is okay, and what is not okay, how to talk, how to eat, how to live. Take a look at how language and fashion and all of those things change or have changed over the course of time. All the time. I mean, you know, I think one period that I really, really did not like the dress, the clothing was the 70s. I just thought that was terrible. I was like, wow. I was like a little kid. But like I can remember in the 80s, like we would wear things we just thought were so cool and so cute and so pretty, and we'd have our hair like, I remember in the it was like late 80s, early 90s, I had the biggest hair that you have ever seen. I mean, up in the front and just this whole waterfall of hair. And I thought that was so cool, and everybody else did too. Wow, you got great hair. Thank you. Yeah, makes up for the bod. But see, and then you got to stop doing stuff like that. I got to stop doing stuff like that. Don't throw a negative on top of positive. Just say thank you, and then walk around and go, yes, I do have great hair. Go ahead and take the compliment. But you know, if I was to walk around with hair like that in the grocery store now, everybody be staring at me, because that's not okay. That's out of style, isn't it? And so who is it that truly tells us if we're attractive or beautiful or cool now and then? I mean, who's in control of that? You know, the only person that should be in charge of your self-worth, your self-esteem, your worthiness, is you. Who decides? I'll say it again, because it's one of the best things I've ever heard. Grandfather, Papa. Great one-liners. My mom came to him one time when she was a young adult. Oh, Papa. She's called Papa too. Oh, Papa, you know, I'm so fat or this or that, and I'm not successful enough, or I'm this or that. And he thought what she said was crazy, because what he saw was beautiful. and just fine. And so he said, compared to what and according to who? And that made her think. Angels teach like that. I'm pretty sure that'd be cool if Papa was an angel. Anyway, but rest of my life, that would pop up. According to who? Compared to what? Because if we're talking about compared to what, a beetle is gigantic compared to an ant. A puppy, sweet little beautiful little puppy, would be a gigantic monster to a ladybug. To us, from our perspective, a puppy is the top. I mean, it's the cutest thing that you could possibly see, right? So who decides how beautiful you are? And who decides how good you are? Who decides how smart you are? Because I'm sure there's some rocket scientists out there who think I'm an idiot. I don't know. But then there's probably some people who think I'm very smart. It doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you think. There's where your peace lies. And that's what we need to start doing. Me too. We need to drown, or we need to starve the evil who has infiltrated all of us from within, and we need to do it now. So if you really want to be a part of this movement, if you really want to help, that's where you begin. By helping yourself. What'll happen is you will shine. And whether you realize it or not, people will see it. And they'll be like, what does she know? And they'll think about it. Maybe they'll ask. If they ask, you tell them. But it's one question can change your perspective completely. One suggestion can change your entire life. The power of you as a soul and your mind is unlimited. And I just wanted to say that today. It's about time to go. But I am sure that I will talk about this again because I'm learning along with you. There's a book I'm supposed to write, and it's supposed to be about, it's called The Seventh Element. Don't steal it. Anyway, but it's supposed to be on how to teach people how to consciously create. So I'm going to be learning a lot of stuff over here. I don't even know when that's supposed to transpire, but they've been telling me about it for a very long time. And I said, how am I going to do that? I don't know anything about that. Clearly, I'm a mess. Thank you. Like, how am I going to do that? Like, I don't even know if I'm smart enough to do that. And, okay, I've stopped doing that. See, I just did it right there. I am smart enough to do that. Okay. That's how you do that. So someday that'll come out, but I'm learning along with you. And when I learn things, I like to share it. And thank you all for joining me here today. It's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate all of you that listen. Please share this with anybody you think would be helpful. I think we're all kind of part of the effort in one way, shape, or form. You're either doing it spiritually, or you're out there physically hitting the pavement, or using your voice to inform. I think we've got two sides to this effort, and you are not powerless. So if you feel like there's nothing you can do, you're wrong. There is. Start today, and start with that positive thoughts and drown out the evil that speaks to you. Deny it. Thanks so much. Bye.